What is up? It is summertime and it is hot outside and you need something cold and refreshing to cool you down. I want to share with you one of my favorite summer drinks, the Cucumber Jalapeno Margarita. Now if you don't like cucumbers and you don't like a little bit of spice, then you're probably not going to like this. However, don't go away just yet, because if you like margaritas, I'm going to show you how you can take this recipe and you can actually tweak it a little bit and get 3 different types of margaritas out of this recipe. You could do a fresh classic margarita, you could do a fresh cucumber margarita, or what we're going to actually focus on more is the cucumber jalapeno margarita. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so let's talk about what you're going to need for this recipe. Now this is a fresh margarita, so we're going to be using all fresh ingredients. You know, I've been guilty of buying the margarita mix from the stores in the past if I'm feeling kind of lazy. But if you want something really custom, really fresh, this is the way to go. So we're going to need some lime juice, and we got a bag of limes here. This bag of limes should probably be enough for the recipe as is. I'm going to actually double the recipe today, so I may end up using a little bit more than what the recipe calls for. We're also going to need your favorite tequila. I prefer using a white tequila. Yellow would probably work just fine, but the white gives it a very clean, clear look to the drink afterwards, and I just think it looks better. Normally I prefer Patron, but we're going to be using 1800 silver today. You're also going to need an orange liquor. I'm using the Patron orange liquor. There's a lot of different orange liquors on the market. You know, pick your favorite. I've used this one in the past. It's really good. Another thing we're going to need is what's called simple syrup. Now I make this at home. Basically the way I make this is I take 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water, and I bring that to a boil over the stove. Once it's boiling, I cook that for about 3 minutes, and what you're left with is this kind of thick, syrupy mixture that you can use in a lot of different beverages. Since this is a cucumber jalapeno margarita, we're going to need some cucumbers. I'm going to use 2 cucumbers for this margarita I'm making today, and you're going to need a jalapeno. Now, the recipe normally calls for half the jalapeno. I'm going to be using the whole jalapeno for the one I'm making today because, again, I'm doubling this recipe. And then you'll need some things like juicers, way to squeeze your limes. I got 2 different types of options here. I do like this one better. I feel like I get more juice out of this one, but it is very time consuming. It's very hard on your wrists. You have to deal with the pulp that builds up in this thing that prevents it from draining very well. So this one's actually a little easier, but you're probably not going to get as much juice. The other thing you're going to need is a good clean working surface, cutting board for cutting all your fruits and veggies. And then just make sure that you have things to place the juice in and a way to mix this later. Alright, I'm going to cut all the limes into halves. Obviously you can cut these 2 different ways. This is the preferred method for cutting the limes. Alright, after you have your limes cut up, it's time to start squeezing. So like I said, I actually prefer to use this type of squeezer. Again, it's very taxing on the hands, but I mean, you can really get a lot of juice out of this thing. Let's switch to this squeezer here. So for this one, you just kind of load it like so, and then squeeze it in. Got plenty of lime juice. All right, let's move on. But first, it's a good idea to clean up your mess. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and get our cucumbers and jalapenos ready, because everything else is already pretty much done. So we're just gonna be mixing ingredients. So for the cucumbers, again, this usually calls for 1 cucumber. Because I'm doubling the recipe, I'm actually using 2. So the way I slice these, this one's got a little stem on it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and slice off the end here. But normally what I do is I cut these lengthwise. I'm going to cut it once, and then I'm going to cut it again into 4 equal parts. All right, after you've cut the cucumber, one thing we don't want is we don't want all these seeds in the actual drink. So I like to take a spoon and just kind of rake out the seeds. So I'm just going to use this little cup here to do that. All right, so we got all the seeds off. Now we're ready to go ahead and just start placing these into the jar. This is a jar I'm going to be using. This is a jar that Jonica picked up at IKEA. It looks cool and it's perfect for this drink. So we're just going to drop the cucumbers in here, just like so. And that is one, so we got to do a second layer. All right, next we're going to cut up the jalapeno. For this, I take off the little tail here, and then we're going to cut this lengthwise as well, just like so. Just like we did with the cucumber, I'm going to remove all these seeds so we don't incorporate those into the drink. Just like we did with the cucumber, we're going to put the jalapenos into this as well. Now this jar may be a little small to do such a big recipe. It will definitely fit the recipe as is, but because I'm doubling it, it's a little bit tighter. All right, it's time to start mixing our drink. So we have the cucumbers and the jalapeno within this jar. We're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of lime juice. And we're also going to need 1 cup of white tequila. And we're going to add in a 1/2 cup of orange liquor. And last, we're going to add in a 1/2 cup of simple syrup. All right, and that is it. We're going to let this sit for at least an hour in the fridge to chill. I personally would recommend you let this sit overnight. The longer it sits, the more the cucumber and the jalapeno is going to kind of infuse itself within the drink. And this drink is going to taste amazing. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we're going to serve this up. I like to use a small glass like this to serve the drink. You're going to want a salt rim with this. That's my preferred method. All right, we got our rim salted here. We're going to add some ice to this. Make sure you have clean hands. And we are ready to pour. Little lime for a garnish. And there you have it, the Cucumber Jalapeno Margarita. Now the modifications for this drink: if you don't like cucumbers, leave out the cucumbers. If you don't like jalapenos, leave out the jalapenos. If you leave out the cucumber and the jalapenos, what you're left with is a classic fresh margarita. If you just want the cucumbers in there and no jalapeno, now you have a cucumber margarita. And of course, if you're like me, you like a little bit of spice, add the jalapeno and have yourself a cucumber jalapeno margarita. Hope you enjoy. Cheers.